Islam Makhachev and Arman Tsarukyan are preparing for their rematch at UFC 311, and Islam has reacted to Arman's latest training footage. Let's check it out. Arman still remembers what Islam told him after their first fight, and no matter what Islam says to fans nowadays, Arman believes that his team knows just what kind of threat he is. Arman stated, "Yeah, of course I do. Remember, he supported me after the fight. He said, 'You're still young, everything's ahead of you, so don't be upset.' And I was like, I'm not that young," fell down, sat down, and covered my eyes. Yes, I never liked losing, no matter how young I was. I think he might underestimate me on camera, acting like I'm not on his level. But his team, his coaches understand that I'm a very serious threat, and they will prepare as well as they can." Arman feels so confident in his own skills that he criticized Dustin Poirier for giving up too easily in his title fight with Islam.
Первый раунд прошел в сторону Махачева, я думаю, блин, на туре это мешок конченый. Мне такое чувство, что Пориер просто взял и сдался. В плане того, что морально сломался. Чем ты свою шею отдаешь? Ну перетерпи, перекрутись, усни, что-нибудь сделай, но не сдавайся.
It turns out that Khabib Nurmagomedov will actually be in Islam's corner during UFC 311, and Javier Mendez opened up about what kind of role he'll play. Javier stated, "It'll be a combination of me and Khabib, giving Islam advice in the corner. It cannot be just Khabib. It has to be both of us because we have different things that we see, and we both need to give our opinions. As far as having a semi-main and the main on top of that, I'm used to that. And on top of that, Khabib is a really good coach now and has taken over the reins. So I'm coming in as the overseer, more or less. I'm his mentor. I'm the coach, but he controls everything. You can't take the lead role all the time because they need to show their experience. I'm on the sidelines. I give Khabib advice all the time, but the control is more on him now than it is me with these guys." Islam didn't believe that Arman has really improved all that much since the first time they fought, though.
How much improvement has this man made since you guys fought the first time?
Of course he improved. He have more experience, but same skills, you know. He beat all this guy because they don't have wrestling. But when someone have good wrestling skills, he always have trouble with Gamrot, with me, and it's gonna be again.
Josh Thompson really believes that Arman is the toughest opponent Islam has ever faced, though. And he stated, "It's funny because I always think that this opponent right now, to me, is going to be the hardest opponent Makhachev, has ever faced. Everyone thought it would be Charles. Everyone thought it would be somebody. Someone along the line would be his hardest opponent. I think that the way Arman throws aggressively leads him into his takedowns. Like, those are shots that Islam, he hasn't faced anyone that had to really threaten a takedown against him. And that's how those hands end up dropping to stop takedowns, and that's how you end up getting caught. The hesitation, the split hesitation, is how you can get caught." Michael Bipsing thinks that the way the fighters train for the fight will determine a lot, but he also thinks that the little bit of doubt he senses in Arman is exactly what he needs to push himself harder.
Everyone's talking about training smart. Yeah, okay, you want to train smart. You don't want to get hurt. You don't want to get injured. You don't want to overtrain. There is no substitute for hard work. All of these scientists and these nutritionists and these people coming in that have never thrown a punch in their life, by the way, said, slow it down. We got to have different level days. We got to have green, amber, and red level days. On the red level days, you go hard. On the green, you kind of take it easy, okay? No, you got to go hard. You got to push yourself to the absolute limit because when you get tired in a fight, you are FUCK'd. Simple as that. Still, what do you think? I'm rambling here. Arman Tsarukyan is not fully invested. Does he really mean that? Do you think he is invested? Is he trying to play a little psychological mind game on Islam Makhachev? Would that even work? I say no. I think he is invested, right? But I think there might be a potential of just a little bit of subconscious doubt creeping in, which, by the way, is normal. By the way, we need that because that will give you the adrenaline.
Matt Frevola definitely thinks Arman has what it takes to beat Islam in the octagon, and he's been in there with Arman before.
Their first fight was insane, and like Arman was so young, and he took it on short notice. So I think the rematch is definitely going to be a fun fight, and I think Arman could get it done, but Islam's definitely definitely, you know, one of the best in the world, pound for pound. But, you know,
Islam Makhachev's teammate believes that Islam will make all the necessary changes from their previous fight to come out victorious though, and Gadzi Rabadanov stated, "I'm in touch with the team. They say everything is going great, and is in the best shape of his life. I think this time Islam will look much more dominant compared to their first fight, because Islam is very good at adjusting to his opponents, and all the mistakes from the first fight will look like a fluke. I hope and I believe Islam will finish him. The fight won't go 5 rounds. I think they will mostly fight standing, and it will be over mid-fight, round 3 or 4. Alex Hernandez doesn't think that anyone is going to beat Islam at 155, but he sees Arman being a tough challenger for him.
You know, Arman's his most competitive fight. The dude's an absolute monster, so they're both so tough. I'm gonna lean towards the champ, Islam, but yeah, Arman's a motherfucking beat, so these guys work cut out for him. If Arman doesn't do it, who I think would be among the most competitive, I don't really see who beats him, right? Yeah, like who else? Yeah, I think that's why it's such an exciting fight, because they're kind of similar in their versatility, but I think Islam's continue to improve all around and on his feet, and tactically they've got a real brilliant team.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to see him lose.
When it comes to techniques, Beneil Dariush believes he knows the secret technique to beat Islam Makhachev. Dariush stated, "You have to meet his feints. He does a lot of feints, a lot of fakes. And if you don't meet those, he is going to be able to push you back, and he's going to be able to put pressure on you just with that. If you can't meet that, then it's kind of an uphill fight for you. But if you could start to meet those, you can start to see his reactions, what he wants to do. And ultimately, to be able to beat him, you have to be very well-rounded, and I would say specialized in striking, specializing in grappling. He specializes in grappling. It's going to cancel out, but if you're good enough to grapple, you have good grappling, but you specialize in striking, I think you can put more pressure on him." When Luke Rockhold sat to preview the fight, he definitely had a clear favorite going into UFC 311.
But he's a better striker. I think he's more rangy. He's more like, people don't give him credit for what he deserves, because he's good on the feet, man. He can hit hard, and he's getting better. He's getting more confident. And he's good everywhere else too. I think he's a longer guy. I think he can get off on shots.
Do you think Islam's a better striker?
I think he wins scrambles and create dominant position.
Do you think Islam's a better striker?
I think he's a better striker.
Okay.
Brandon Gibson, John Jones' coach, believes that there's one clear winner between Islam and Arman, and Brandon stated, "I think Islam is rightfully the favorite. He's racking up that championship experience. Like with Poirier, he showed his championship character, like being able to really dig down deep in those later rounds, despite the cut, despite being wobbled. I think Islam is really growing as a champion. I think we won't see such a close rematch between those two. I think Islam shows domination and showcases his grappling once again." And when it comes to the excitement building up to the rematch, no one is as excited as Joe Rogan though.
That guy, Arman Tsarukyan, he's a f***ing assassin. F***ing assassin. He has one loss to Gamrot and Ismail Makhachev, who's the world champion, and by most people's eyes, at least number 1 or number 2 pound for pound in the world. He's big. That's about as big as you can get and keep doing that. He's got real power now on his feet, which is a new addition over the last, X amount of years. His stand-up has gotten elite. Oliveira in real trouble, kept kicking to the body. Oh my God.
I think people just assume that all he's going to do is wrestle, but then when you see him go in there and outstrike somebody, he even box with, he can strike too.
He's the most complete fighter on the roster, because he submits people. Like, he submitted Poirier in the final round.
Yeah.
Incredible submission. But he was winning that fight already. He can also knock you out. He literally does everything. He's one of the best wrestlers in the sport. His top control and his squeeze is insane.
This is a perfect pay-per-view fight to kick off the year. Umar versus Merab and Islam versus Arman, 2 high-level matchups. We'll discuss Umar versus Merab next, but first,
Charles Oliveira has been in the octagon with Islam Makhachev though, and he thinks he knows exactly what he's going to bring to the octagon. Charles stated, "They have very similar games. and I think each has to come and look out for the same things. You have to watch out for the striking because they do offer some striking, and they also have to be very mindful of the ground game. It's very, very similar styles, and I think that they have to watch out for the same things from each other. I think Islam is a little step ahead of Arman. I think he's just stronger by a little bit, but when push comes to shove, any of them could win. Brendan Schaub thinks that Arman is the kind of challenge that Islam needs to solidify his name as the pound-for-pound king.
Now, when it comes to pound for pound in your division, I look at strength of schedule. I look at who have you beat, how have you beat them. Islam's strength of schedule, when we're talking about, if you look at the pound for pound list, the top 5, has by far the easiest strength of schedule. He's not my pound for pound number 1. I'll be very clear. Not my king, not bend the knee, dude. Refute, cut my head off. Cut my head off. Not hating on Islam. I know you guys are gonna run with that. I'm not doing that. I'm not hating on him. There's nothing he can do about it. It's not his fault. He fights whoever's in front of him. But for his management, whoever's telling this, dude, let's jump to 70. Buddy, you have so much work to do at 55. You have a lot to do at 55 before we bend the knee. And Arman's gonna give you a fight. And I would favor Arman after watching his last 3 or 4 performances. I would favor Arman.
Colby Covington is definitely in Arman's corner going into this rematch, and he sees him as one of the only people out there who could beat Islam. Colby stated, "I think Arman can get it done. I think he's an athlete. Look how flexible he is. Look how he got out of that choke with Charles. That was impressive. He dug deep for that, and you know he's got a better coach. I believe in Arman. He's an athlete. He's got big power in his hands, and if he believes in his hands, I think he can knock out Makhachev." Joe Selecki believes that Islam should consider taking a different approach against Arman, and he stated, "I think he is a great grappler. I am sure he has decent game there, but it is not where he chooses to be. I don't think it is the worst idea for Islam to stay on the feet until he tires him out. I think just off the cuff, that is what I would say." Islam Makhachev sat down with Demetrius Johnson to talk about the rematch, and he's sure that this will be exactly what MMA fans have been asking for.
If you ask me, I'm true, I see his style, I see his skills. I don't see something what make me surprised, because he have good wrestling. I have same, I have better than him. He have striking, I have better than him. He have grappling, I know my grappling is better. But this time it's not gonna be easy match for sure, because he's a number 1 right now. He's a guy who make me work more hard because he's a real contender. He have good wrestling. We're gonna wrestle, we're gonna strike. It's gonna be a very good match for the MMA fans, because now it's a champion versus like number 1 contender.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more crazy fight news and updates.